My name is Frances Jean Byvig Piper.
James Grady. You want the full name?
Lucille Grady.
My parents are Andy and Catherine Byvig. My siblings are Charles and Richard.
James Grady was my dad. Frances Grady was my mother. And my sister was Eileen Grady.
My mother's name is Catherine Schwamberger, and she was Sharkey first. Then she married my dad, George Schwamberger. And then I had there was 5 of us kids. Margaret, Kay, Mary, George, and myself.
My aunt, I had an Aunt Fran, so I was named for Aunt Fran.
My name was come from my dad.
And my name came from my aunt. We called her Aunt Lucille, but she was a real good friend.
I was born in Spring Valley at St. Margaret's Hospital, and I understand it was a bad snowstorm. And my dad got my mother there in time, I guess. It wasn't easy from what I understand. It was a really bad snowstorm.
In a farmhouse in Bureau County in August 9th, 1933.
And I was born at home at 404 South Washington Avenue.
Not in those days, because we went through the Depression.
No money.
And nobody had much money. Bureau County Fair was about the biggest thing in our life in the summertime. That was it.
I don't remember. My dad passed away when I was 14 months old. Mother had us 5 kids. So we lived in Mendota, and my dad ran a garage down there. And of course, then when he passed away, they sold the garage, and we moved back to Amboy to live with my grandpa Sharkey.
My dad would never leave the grocery store. So the only trip, or I guess there was 2 trips. We had gone up to Wisconsin with my grandparents, my mother's parents, and then we went out to Colorado with my high school PE teacher, and she went with us. So
Arnold McCauley I went to school with, and a kid by the name of Billy Harris. And no, we never got in any trouble. We were out in the country. There was no place to get in trouble.
I think we got in trouble. Oh dear, how many times? Anyhow, it was mostly neighbor kids that we always played with. We played ball out in the yard. We did high jumping and all that stuff. But as far as getting into trouble, we did get into a few things. We had a little bonfire across the road. It wasn't real big, but it kind of got a little bit bigger. And so all of us 5 kids, we went and got water and we put it out. And then our neighbor come over to tell my mother of what we did. So we not only got in trouble once, but twice. Because my mother was pretty strict.
Seemed like in grade school I was in trouble, but I never knew why, because the principal had it out for me. And Grandma B went to him and let him have it.
Why do you think he had it out for you?
I don't know. I'll never understand it. You know, what I did wrong. I just never understood what I did. But I was always in trouble with him. Ladd grade school and Hall High School. That's the only place that we had to go to. I don't think girls went to St. Bede then, but my brothers did.
Pleasant Street School, 1-room schoolhouse for 8 years. And high school, 3 years of high school at Princeton and 1 at Amboy, Illinois.
And he's lucky he came to
That's
Amboy.
Did you like Princeton or Amboy?
Princeton, Good, for the simple reason I went there 3 years. It is kind of hard to change schools, but and I shouldn't say this, but Princeton was a bigger school and it offered a lot more classes
True.
to
Pick from.
take. Yeah, I mean to pick from.
But there's one reason you like Amway better, right?
I met my wife there.
He's a lucky devil. He came here.
And then
Oh.
what schools did you attend?
St. Anne's School and Amboy High School. And of course, that's when I met him there.
It was a blind date. Through his cousin Sally Donovan. Do you remember her?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was through her, and she set us up.
Were you nervous?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember somebody came down for me because he was at football practice, and somebody came down for me to go to the dance or whatever we did then. And it was almost a year to the day that we got married. He was always fun. He was always wanting a good time, and he did. He was a really good guy. He was really nice to people and just even tempered and even going.
My sister, we were coming home carrying groceries. We had no car. We were carrying groceries home, and he stopped and asked Mary if you'd like a ride. And we said, sure. So we got in, and he gave us a ride home. That's when he asked me later on, he called up and asked me for a date. And we went out 3 times. And one thing led to another.
And
But
now
he had
you're
to go
here.
he was in service, he went to Alaska. So I wrote to him
I
while he
was
was in.
going to service.
You were?
I weren't in yet.
Oh, I thought you were in then.
I
Oh,
don't-
sorry.
no, I don't think so.
Well, we come home one night after we had a date, parked out in the front yard, and we were talking and everything, and he said, open the glove compartment box. So I opened it up, and he said, now you'll find 2 boxes in there, just take them out. So I took them out, and I thought, oh no, jewelry. Have 2 boxes. And he said to open them up, and both up, I did, and I thought, oh dear. And he says, which do you like the best? And I just kept looking at him. And he said, well, you do want to marry me, don't you? And I said, yeah, I guess so. So I said, I think I got gold that time. Didn't I have gold? Picked up, no, by darn, I picked up the white
Silver.
gold, silver.
White gold.
I picked out the silver. And later on then, down the line, we changed the color. But anyhow, that's how that all came to pass.
I didn't get the 2 rings. I got a ring. I don't know. He just proposed.
Our children,
Michael,
Michael,
Karen,
Karen,
James, Janet, and
and
Luann.
Luann.
Okay, Lori, Dave, Diane, Dan, Linda, Jeff, Doug, Mary, Susie, and Brian.
That's
Did
10.
Did I do them all?
I think you did. I'm pretty sure.
She was very talented, I believe. You know, with everybody around and everything, I don't know if you've noticed that picture that she kind of sketched. And she did a lot of poetry, wrote poems and stuff that we got there at the house and everything. She was very talented.
I really don't know. Mostly we just worked one
Worked
day at a
together.
time. Time went by.
Yeah,
You know, it's
one day at a time.
one day at a time. And
We
what-
worked together. I'd come down whenever he had to farm and help.
Yeah.
Home, he'd come and help me in the house. Because we had no money. Or
We
little.
had enough money to.
We
pay
ended
our
up
bills
pay our
and
bills.
We went on vacation
Yeah.
once a year with some of our friends. And
It's pretty hairy at times. Yeah, I'd take a long walk. I'd leave Bill with all the kids and take a walk. Because we lived in the country usually. I mean, when we lived around Ohio, it just seemed, I remember that seemed to be the hardest time. And then the one other thing, when we lived in Metamora, I would be able to go for groceries, and that was a break. Just going to Washington, D.C. That is the favorite place to go. There's so much there, so much history, and it's just interesting, way interesting.
Ireland.
Ireland, beautiful. Couldn't believe how green everything looked, and it's green. Green is green, beautiful.
Yeah, whatever you see on television, the color there, it's the same over there.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It's, well, you can't describe it.
Well, we've been there how many times? So we went with
Two
Ashley and Brad.
or three.
Two.
Compromise, oh my, compromise all the time. But then we always agreed on discipline and stuff like that. I mean, that was pretty much a given, you know, that's what I always believed in. That we both agreed on what we were doing with the kids.
Just always say I'm right and no problem.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I just nod my head. Yes, yes, yes.
No, we're kidding. You just work together.
Work together.
Work together. Help one another.
Probably work hard. Stay away from drugs
Big time.
and alcohol,
And alcohol, right.
and the rest will take care of itself.
And I always say, when you're in high school, you start thinking of what you want to be when you get out of high school, when you get in college. Just get into something you really, really love. And I don't think it's going to be that hard of a job to do because you really like what you're doing.
Oh, just get along. Just be peaceful. It's so much easier to agree, and I mean, if you don't agree, just do it anyway. Just be peaceful. It's a lot easier than fighting.
That's true.
That's what I keep thinking. I think, why do families do that? You know, they just break apart, and it's just so much nicer when you do agree and all get along.